with the specific issue of this recurring debate as to what should be allowed in our secondary schools, because it's a matter specific to secondary schools. Again, this morning, as I was listening to one of your sister radio stations, the argument was that how were these children managing their hair in primary? Please, when a matter comes, I think we have to be honest about the practicalities of each, educational segment. With primary schools, it is largely a decision of parents whether to keep their children's hair on or not. When I was raising my second girl, saloons were one of the was the worst experiences for me and her. So very soon, I realized that it cannot continue. So I cut her hair. So throughout kindergarten to nursery to kindergarten, she cut her hair multiple times. It was only when she now went to class 3 that she herself, was now, because now she was seeing her other friends with ribbons in their hair, and she was now willing to sit through a salon process. My other last girl, she has always loved to look pretty. And, she went to do her hair for a Soul Week program today. When she came, she said, "Mommy, I'm looking pretty, right?" And I said, "Oh, yes, you're looking pretty." And so, but it's paining me. I said, "No pain, no gain." And beauty is pain. Say you want to do your hair. So children are so different. And depending on the circumstances and the situation, in primary schools, let's not even just think about urban areas or well-to-do families or middle-income families. If you look at generally in rural educational areas, why do they even have the time to plait their hair? You see that a lot of the children in primary schools in rural areas keep a down cut because it is determined by the environment that they live in. So primary schools are not boarding schools. So if a parent can manage the hair, take the child to salon engagement, hire a hairdresser to come home and do the hair, in the primary schools, there are no such restrictions. But let me also quickly tell you that in private schools in Ghana, one of the my children's school that they attend, nursery, you can add attachments to your hair. Lower to upper primary, you cannot add any attachment to your hair. You must braid your own hair. And it must be simple cornrow, whether it's all back, however you design it, it must be. Boys cannot have a certain kind of haircut. This is a private school in Ghana, okay? You cannot have, your uniform cannot be above a certain length. A boy cannot put a line in their hair after they cut it. So there are minimum standards that schools deploy to ensure a certain standardization to allow for efficient and effective learning. So primary school is not a problem. Secondary school, this is my opinion. For day students, sometimes your own circumstances will determine the choices you make. Even if you allowed it that, you have the option to keep your hair and style your hair in a certain, in a certain way, so that you don't have all kinds of issues in school. People will still choose whether to do it or not to do it. I think the policy here for secondary schools, especially boarders, is to maintain a certain standard to remove some distractions on time more than on anything else. As for the other, whether it's beauty or whether it's a response to the general arguments we hear back that, people love their hair, they should be allowed to style it the way that they make it, makes them beautiful. Some don't like how they look. I think that argument is actually off.
The argument is not those who are making that argument. I think they just got it.
It's a tangential argument, really. Yeah. So it was because of those comments that the minister made reference to that. But essentially, it is about the management of time. as a result of the regimented nature of boarding school in particular.
No, but Shamima, how do you respond to those who say it was a colonial idea that they used in separating us from the colonial masters, and we seem to have adopted it, and it's just so people see it from a different.
I'm not so sure
people
about
see it from
that.
a different angle.
I'm not so sure about that because nobody needed to use a low haircut to differentiate. The color was already a differentiator. Our skin colors with colonial people was already a differentiator. Our hair texture and colonial hair texture is already a differentiator. So it isn't about how long your kinky hair is or how short your kinky hair is. And that's really traveling way back into time. I don't believe that we shouldn't review certain things because this is how it has always been done. I believe in practicality.
If, for the sake of uniformity, we say that if you want to keep your hair, if the option is to cut it if you want or keep it if you want, if a girl keeps her hair like this, how is that not discipline? How does this breed into
nitty-gritties?
Yeah, because the minister said it. So
we are not. But she's sitting in the classroom with the braided hair.
Yeah,
is it not?
Yes.
So I'm saying that practically, let us sit and agree that the regimented nature of boarding and secondary school life, the additional, you see, when you think of policy, think of policy as it works for the most vulnerable, not those who can, not schools that there are private schools, girls' schools, that I know they have salons in the schools and they have dedicated days for girls to go and do all kinds of things to their hair. It's a boarding school, it's a private secondary school, it's a girls' school. They make for those provisions because girls are allowed. Even with the private school that I referred, when you get to sixth form, you are allowed now because you're almost exiting to begin to add extensions to your hair, even that there's a way that you're supposed to do it. So bottom line, the education minister has announced a government program and a government policy based on the various consultations that has happened. And their policy is that at the secondary school level, all students must keep a low haircut. That is the policy. If we want to debate, we may debate about what exceptions, because to every rule, there are exceptions.
Yeah.
There are some children, even with these general rules, exercise or they are allowed exceptions based on some grounds. Some can't cut their hair because of some health reason. Even some have some spiritual reason why they can't cut their hair. Under those particular circumstances, the headmaster, the PTA, is allowed to make exceptions.
So for spiritual reasons, you've made an exception.
I'm saying that there are some people who tell you that a comb cannot touch their hair. Please, we are living in an increasing complex society. I have seen spiritualists show their children on TV. They are attending school. When we did we witnessed the Asante Hima's funeral, we saw a lot of young children who are fetish priests and priestesses. Some you can't put a comb in their hair, but they are in school. When they ask their parents, the parents said they attend school. Should you go and insist when you know clearly, verifiably, in truth, that perhaps abosomba and per your cultural dictates?
This debate will linger for a while.
It won't linger, but this is the policy.
I'm sorry, let me make this point. And the minister, this is not the final time he's going to actually speak on this matter. Mm-hmm. The issue of the Achimota Magai story. I mean, when he came, I was one of the people who supported Maguire in the family. I didn't understand. Why would Achimota allow Westerners to attend the school and keep their hair? Why can't they cut their hair? They didn't come with spiritual reasons. They didn't come with any health condition.
But do you know that
just
some
by the fact that
actually
they
cut
are white,
their hair?
yes, some do by their choice.
Some actually
Those
do
who
cut
decide
their hair.
not to, they're allowed to be in school. So why is it that it doesn't cut across?
But what you don't know is the reasons for that.
The reason for what?
Because I've told you that some people, you see, I don't want to make excuses for the exceptions. But broadly speaking, there is the general policy, which is everyone keeps low haircuts in secondary school.
Yes.
And there are exceptions based on a number of grounds as agreed upon by the school in collaboration and direction from the Education Ministry or GES, if I may put it that way. Now, you and I cannot tell whether there's a health reason why some of the so-called, and these are minute of the fraction, and let us not use very minute examples to try to make a case.
Hold on,
let's look at the broad.
It would be so unfair for you to consider it as minute, because
they don't form a majority of the population in the class.
How those exceptions are affecting others that are forced to cut their hair by every means.
That's what
you don't know how it's affecting them.
What do you mean by forced?
They're forced. I mean,
for the child. I'm saying that if your parent does not come to the school with some reason why you shouldn't cut your hair other than, it makes me more beautiful. If it is not a health reason, because some have very soft that thing. Because some people, as a baby, they breathe through their air. The scalp doesn't close. Some people still have those kinds of situations. So direct sunlight will cause problem. So they need to keep a certain level of hair on their hair to protect the sensitivity of their scalp. You have to come to the school with a tangible reason based on clear-cut, reasons, whether it is health, whether you are a busumba, can't touch your hair. Once you provide that kind of reasoning, you will be exempted. But generally, if parents don't exercise ground, then you as a child cannot say that I just want to keep my hair. So I'm saying that this is the government policy. As of today, secondary school, children will keep a low hair.
But do you agree that Maguire did not give any health reason why he won't cut his hair? It is just by culture, I won't cut the hair.
He said he was a Rastafarian.
Yes.
Rastafarian is a religion.
Yes.
It's a religion. So if his religion says keep his hair, and he made a case for it, and he won that case, that is it. If others feel so strongly about it, they can also explore the path that Maguire explored if their request to be exempted fails. You see, as I'm saying, rights must be enjoyed by all. Just as regulations must also be obeyed by all.
Okay.
But in a human environment, it is not straight-jacketed because there will always be peculiar circumstances that would require exceptions. And in this broad-based policy, there are such exceptions for those who have reasons and grounds to seek those exceptions.
Okay.